The Taurus G3C. Is it the best affordable concealed carry handgun on the market? We're going to find out together in today's video here on Show Me Firearms. Let's kick things off by quickly going over some of the technical details about the Taurus G3C, and then I'm going to run my first mag ever through this handgun and give you my pure unscripted reaction to that first magazine, and then we're going to talk about who this gun is for and why you might want to buy it. The G3C is the latest iteration in Taurus's G-Series lineup of EDC and personal defense handguns. With an overall length of 6.3 inches, a height of 5.1 inches, a width of 1.2 inches, and a barrel length of 3.2 inches, Taurus classifies the G3C as a compact handgun, although these specs are really more in line with something like the SIG P365X, which is considered to be a micro-compact. The G3C features an impressive 12-round magazine capacity, which is really kind of becoming a standard for these newer micro-compact 9mm. We have a fixed front sight post, a drift-adjustable rear sight, and an accessory rail up front. The frame is made out of polymer with a black finish. The slide is made of a steel alloy with a matte black finish, and then we've got a stainless steel barrel. Safety features on the G3C include a loaded chamber indicator, striker block, manual safety, and a trigger safety. Now, I haven't even shot this handgun yet, but I'm already actually pretty impressed with it, especially considering the price point that it comes in at, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But when I grab a hold of the G3C, it just feels good in the hand. It's kind of hard to put into words, but those of you who have handled a lot of handguns in the past, you'll know what I'm talking about. You just grab a hold of a gun and it just fits in your hand. It just feels good. And the G3C really does that for me. On our slide, we have serrations on both the front and the rear, so you can easily grip that slide on either the muzzle if you're a press checker or at the rear like most people do. On our grip right here, Taurus gave us extremely aggressive stippling. Like, it's almost borderline too aggressive. Like, when I grab hold of this gun and get a good firm grip on it, I don't know if you guys can see, but that left a pretty deep impression in my skin there. It's almost slightly painful, so good job, Taurus, on the stippling. You're never going to have a problem maintaining your grip on the G3C. As for our sight picture, we have a little white highlight on our front sight post right there. And the highlight, it's a little on the small side. It'd be nice if it was a little bit bigger to make it somewhat easier to pick up. And then on our rear sight, we have no highlights there on the rear. So, you know, it'd be nice to have a highlight on the rear. But again, this is a budget handgun. You are gonna have to make some concessions with things like this. And you know, if you have a tiny little fine tip paintbrush, you could easily paint yourself a highlight on your rear sight. So not a huge deal, not the end of the world, but you know, it would be nice to have that straight out of the box. Let's take a look at the trigger on the G3C. So we are clear, of course, as always. First thing to note is there is a lot of travel in this trigger before you hit the wall. Yeah, look at all that you got to get through just to reach the wall. So not ideal, but also not the end of the world, especially considering the price point that this gun comes in at. So at the wall, start applying pressure, brake. It is kind of stiff, but this gun also is not broken in yet, so there is that. Take a look at the reset. Nice short travel on the reset. There is a nice little click in there to let you know that the trigger has reset, so I do appreciate that. So, you know, it's not the greatest trigger out there, but again, this is a very budget-friendly handgun, so for what it is, you definitely can't fault it. And, you know, really, the trigger, it's not that bad. I really don't mind it. I really don't have any major issues with this trigger. Now, another interesting feature on the G3C is this trigger has a restrike capability. So what that is we'll go ahead and squeeze the trigger. At this point, normally you would have to rack the slide to reset the trigger, but with this restrike capability, you don't have to do that. All you gotta do is release the trigger, and right there, it just reset. Look at that. So that is the restrike capability. And I believe the thought behind this is that if you have a round that fails to go off when you squeeze the trigger, you don't have to rack the slide back to get a fresh round in there. You can give that one round that initially failed to fire you can give it another try without having to rack the slide. Now, it's an interesting feature, but I'm not sure exactly how useful it would be because, you know, if that round just simply is a dud and it's not gonna go off no matter what, you know, you might just be wasting time squeezing the trigger over and over again when you might just be better off manually clearing it to begin with. So it's an interesting feature. Whether or not it's useful, that's up for you guys to decide. That's a personal preference thing, but it is there. The G3C has a trigger restrike capability. So it's an interesting feature, but it's kind of debatable on whether or not it's actually useful. So I've been talking a lot so far in this video about how the G3C is budget friendly, about how affordable it is. Well, just how budget friendly is the G3C? Well, when I bought this gun brand new at my local gun store just yesterday, it only cost me $220. That's right. You get all this gun right here for 220 bucks. I mean, 12 round magazine capacity, that's on par with the SIG P365X. And like I was talking about earlier, the gun just feels good in the hand. It's got a good solid feel. It really feels like an extension of myself. And that's what I'm looking for with a good concealed carry handgun. And so far, the G3C is doing that for me. But talk is cheap. We actually have to see how well this gun performs. So I'm gonna load up this magazine for the very first time, and we're gonna send some rounds downrange and see exactly how well the G3C performs. Yeah, so first mag, it was great. The recoil that I was getting out of the G3C felt really good. Sometimes with these smaller 9mm, they can be, you know, a little bit snappy just because of their size. They're a little bit on the lighter weight side, so sometimes they want to like really fly back on you. I wasn't getting that at all with the G3C. Trigger, I'm still getting used to it. It does, of course, take a little bit of time to learn the exact feel of a new trigger, but so far it felt pretty good. Mag, number 2. That felt just as good, if not a little bit better than the first mag, because, you know, I'm starting to get the feel of the trigger. So 2 mags, 24 rounds through the gun, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. But as you know, with any handgun that you're gonna use for EDC, concealed carry, personal defense, all that good stuff, it's gotta be 100% reliable 100% of the time, because when you need the gun, you really need it and your life might depend on it. So the G3C needs to prove its reliability. Of course, that can only be done by running just a boatload of ammo through the gun. So let's do that right now. All right, that right there was a total of 250 rounds that I ran through this gun all in one day just for this review. That is the most ammo I've ever run through any gun for a review all in one session here on the channel. So the Taurus G3C definitely got a workout today. And now that it's had, you know, 250 rounds run through it, it's more or less halfway-ish to being broken in. Usually it's like, you know, 500 some odd rounds before a gun is considered broken in. So we're about halfway there. Out of those 250 rounds, 0 malfunctions. So far from what I'm seeing out of the Taurus G3C is pretty dang impressive, guys. Like, for 220 bucks, you can get a gun, 12 round magazine capacity, feels great in the hand, and it seems to be pretty darn reliable from what I've seen here in today's test for this review. So, why would you buy the Taurus G3C? Who is this gun for? Well, this gun is for people who are on a very tight budget, but they have to have some kind of personal defense weapon that they can easily conceal carry, and they know they can rely on, they know that they can count on. So would I personally carry the G3C every day? The answer is no, for me personally, for a couple different reasons. Number one is, even though Taurus calls this a compact gun on their website, I consider this to be a micro compact because the dimensions are more similar to that of the SIG P365X, which is a micro compact, and a Glock 19, which is what I would consider to be a compact. The Glock 19, I believe, is about 1 inch longer in both overall length and barrel length compared to the G3C. So I consider this a micro compact, and as I discussed in the video I did on the Glock 19 a while back, my tastes in the size of gun I carry have evolved, and I kind of prefer a compact handgun over a micro compact now, whereas before I preferred the micro compact, but that's changed. You know, everybody changes over time, so that's one way that my tastes in handguns have changed. So I wouldn't carry the G3C just because I don't like the micro compact form factor quite as much. Number two is you do have to make some concessions for the extremely low price point that this gun comes in at. Like the trigger, for example. I mean, this trigger, it's not as good even compared to a Glock trigger. Like, a Glock trigger is still better than what you get on the G3C. Now, that is not a negative point about the G3C. I'm not trying to knock this gun because, again, this gun costs like less than half of what the Glock 19 costs, okay? So, you know, for the price point, this is an amazing trigger for the price point. And you can't fault the gun for having not quite as good of a trigger because, again, 220 bucks. So it's like, you know, for what you're paying, this is a good trigger for that price point. What do you think about the Taurus G3C, and would you carry it every single day? Be sure to let me know in a comment down below. While you're down there, be sure to let me know if there's any other guns that you want to see me review here on the channel. Leave me a comment down below and I will do my best to make it happen for you. Now, this is absolutely going to tick the government off. But that's kind of the whole point of the Second Amendment, and that's why we love it so much.